जो भी वाद आने का है उसकी अपनी राय जिसकी पुष्टि press information news नहीं करता धन्यवाद.
The plan which is going to be executed, and we are hoping that it's going to be inaugurated by the Prime Minister. It's for everyone to see that this is what's going to happen in future, and we are at work.
So 18th May
18th May we will be inaugurating it. It's disclosing the plan actually. Only plan. It'll take some time before all this can come out. Yeah.
Is there any timeline for that?
No, this part of the country, which is far more ancient than Harappa, including Lothal being one such space, which people need to focus on, work on, and that's our effort. That history, science, technology, museum spaces all come to recognize in terms with the entire cultural space which this country has to offer, and which is huge.
Virendra, would you like to ask a question?
The idea is that children will be able to curate a museum through the three-dimensional objects of the National Museum and other MOC museums, which will be available in the game itself. And through the game, they will learn the various aspects of museum management and grow from being a museum intern to a museum director. So the idea is that if you failed to not read the graphic novel, then you can play a game if that is what interests you. If you didn't buy something, then this is another way that the museum gets introduced to you. And this will be available both on the Android and the iOS. Next, please. This might interest a lot of you because this is something which is very, very important for us. This is a virtual walkthrough which will happen of the National Museum, which is to come up in the North and the South block. It is going to be called the Yuge Yugin Bharat. It is going to come up in an area of 1.7 lakh square meters with 950 rooms. We have done a virtual curation of how this entire building of the North and the South block will look once the museum come up, and this is also going to be inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister. Next, please. Then there is a bunch of inaugurations that our Honorable Culture Minister is going to do, which is going to happen on the 19th, just before and during the ministerial panel. So these are some of the elements. Next, please. I'll take you through each of these elements. The handbook on conservation, I thought this was also very, very necessary because we need to develop at least 5 regional conservation labs in the country, and we also need to allow and enable the museums that are coming up in the central ministries, in the state governments, and in the private space to learn what is a checklist for a conservation lab across different kind of material objects. So the idea of this is to focus on prevention and to be able to know, it's a directory and a checklist for people to be able to set up the... I am now going to take you through the various museum sessions quickly. Next, please. There will be 7 master classes by global experts, and I will just take you through the various sessions so that you know which sessions would interest you for your presence. So day 1, we have 2 master classes. Making of a museum is basically everything architectural about the museum. How do you do a green field? How do you do a brown field? What is the size, capacity of the galleries? How you should make the galleries for seamless visitor flow, how is the philosophy and the theme of the museum, the storytelling, the curation. So everything will be covered in session 1. It's a master class. Then we have a master class on gaming in museums. Next, please. Day 2, we have 3 very interesting master classes. The first one is in collaboration with the German light vendors and manufacturers. They will be doing a master class, which will be an immersive experience. So we will not have this regular stage. We will have a stage which is in the form of a booth and a museum gallery, and we will show you how light installation is done for different kinds of sculptures, different kind of paintings, different kind of artifacts. You will be able to view the thing happening in real time as we speak. The acoustics in museum is a space which is little less explored, so Himanshu will be doing this masterclass for us. Museums in Metaverse will be done by Saurav Raj. He's an IIT grad and we've been working with him to develop smart contracts for sale of vanity, which is the NFTs basically. Next please. Then we have day 3, we have 2 master classes. Tim Reeves, he's the Deputy Director of the Victoria and Albert Museum. He's coming all the way because they have just right now shifted 2 million objects from the east to the west coast in the Olympic Park from the old post office building. And he will be sharing his experience of how scientific storage, which is accessible to the public and the researchers, can be done. And the last masterclass is in audio-visual archiving, which is something we have not focused our attention much on, which is how do you archive all the press briefing, all the voice notes, all the film clips that we have. So the focus will also be on archiving of audio-visual artifacts. Next, please. So as I told you earlier, we have 11 themed panels, 75 panelists, 2 very exclusive and interesting panels I will discuss. Next, please. So this is the panel on day 1, which is breaking silos. As we are aware, about 20 plus ministries are also curating very interesting and different kind of scientific, cultural, tribal, textile, maritime museums across the country. And we have got all our, will be speaking at the panel. We will also have a panel discussion. We have invited all state, culture and science ministers. We will try to incorporate as many as we can. So about, as of now, as we speak today, about 14 culture and science ministers from different states have consented to be a part of this panel. And the idea of this is to speak in collaboration on the Vision 2047 of the states around the concept of museums. What do they think about museums? What are their achievements? What are they doing? What are the policies for museums, museum professionals and museum supply chains? Next, please. This is an interesting panel where the focus of attention or conversation is on curation and collection. So we have Sunil Munjal who will be speaking on the Serendipity Museum. We have Anna Aklan who will be speaking on the Hop Museum from Budapest. Then we have different people. Gauriji will be talking of the Pradhan Mantri Museum and Lakshya Singh Mewar will be talking of the City Palace Museum in Udaipur. So they will be talking of what they have done, how they have curated, what are the kind of... Never happened before. So we have curated about 500 books which have been written on and across museums, about museums, throughout the various libraries that we have in the country. It is not an exhaustive list because there are many. This is only an illustrative list of the books that we thought we liked. And we are bringing up a compilation. This will be very, very good for both the museums and also the researchers. People who would want to have a compilation will have to do no mehnat on this because it's a readily curated thing. It has all the details, the publication, the ISBN number, so you can actually go and buy if you want to curate your museum library. Next, please. There is an audio-visual quiz after every session on every day as a breaker. We will be having 1 round of audio-visual questions and these have been curated. There are about 10 rounds which will happen throughout the 3 days. This will be open to the audiences and some very interesting, quirky questions that this is also our way of introducing the museums to the public. You think you know about the museums, but when you see the questions, you'll realize that there's lots that is yet to be known about the museums. Next, please. Then this is a hands-on activity area. This is the highlight that we are doing. There are several such programs throughout the Museum Expo, but because of the paucity of time, I may not be able to take you through all, but this is one very interesting facet and element that is happening, which is again going to focus our attention on the Sindhu Saraswati Sabhyata and how our museums came about as a result of excavation efforts. Right, so we are going to focus our attention on the excavation part. There is also a panel later on, as you will understand, but this is an area for the kids. So the kids are going to get introduced. So they will be wearing aprons, which will say, I am an archaeologist, and they will do excavation. They will find, dummy relics and ruins, and they will have a map. They will also have a museum passport. So they will get stamped. So there will be something that they will carry back